What just kinda disappeared without people noticing? Buying a new game and having a thick chunky manual filled with game lore which you would read before playing and so heighten the anticipation of the game itself. I remember on the drive home with a new game, opening it up and speed reading the manual with so much excitement to start playing. The uproar around devices always listening. Xbox One Kinect was an uproar and now you pretty much can't buy a device that isn't always listening. I think that's just a case where people who are technology savvy are wary because they're the first to see it and they understand it, but then once it spreads out into the mainstream, people either don't know or don't care. My roommate is one of those people, and I am as well, to a lesser extent. You don't really just change your opinion on privacy. Landlines in residences. The jacks are still in almost any house but I rarely see anything plugged in anymore. The only people I can think of with them are all over 60. What's even better is when you fill out any paperwork that requires personal info, they still ask for your home phone as the primary sometimes. Flash games made just for the fun of it. The younger generation probably doesn't even remember, but the 2000s were the era of flash games. There were so many games created and practically none of them had in-game purchases. Nowadays, every single flash game has the main agenda to get you to buy its in-app purchases. I miss the days of Defend Your Castle, Stick RPG, etc. Ownership. We used to pay money and then the thing actually belonged to us. Now everything is rented or leased. Everything is sold as a service. Music as a service. Movies as a service. Software as a service. Even printer ink as a service. We spend and in the end we hold nothing in our hands. I cherish my Adobe Creative Suite DVD like it's my child. Text speak on old cell phones, i.e., are you going to be late tonight? I remember reading a news article in the mid 2000s that concerned parents thought their children wouldn't be able to spell because of it. And now parents are the only ones who still do it. Burning copying CDs and DVDs. It was huge for a few years but then streaming services just ate up the market so completely that no one really bothered with it anymore. Plus HDD storage is so cheap nowadays you don't need to burn your pirated movies to free up space anymore. And if you want to watch it on your TV you can do so without plopping a DVD in a player. PB. Crisps was one of the most delicious snacks back in the early 90s. I would try to get a bag for myself at least once a week whenever my mom would take us along for grocery shopping. Then one day it was just gone. Being a kid in the early 90s with no internet also meant no answers on why they discontinued one of my most flavorful childhood memories. Until next time PB. Crisps. Until next time. I was just thinking about how much I miss these things the other day. The 90s were the golden age of junk snack food and for a shining moment we had what amounted to fried corn filled with peanut butter and it was glorious. Door-to-door sales. Owned a house for 7 years in a respectable neighborhood and not one visit, which I'm fine with. As a kid people were always coming around trying to sell stuff. Books, magazines, vacuums, knives, encyclopedias, religion, even kids selling candy and popcorn. It's all on Facebook now. CD slots in computers. I only noticed a couple months back that my current computer doesn't have one. Of course, I only needed it once in 2 years, if not longer. I recently built a new computer and my case didn't even have the option to install an optical drive. My old case had one, but I hadn't used it in at least 3-4 years. Video game strategy guides that you can buy in stores. Same with cheat code booklets. Like most things the internet killed that. The voiceover movie trailers. The original movie voice guy died and so did that style of movie trailer. Primatene mist inhalers. I sure the frick noticed because I have asthma and used them regularly. Know what else disappeared at the same time? Generic albuterol rescue inhalers. Oh, you can still get albuterol for about 5 times what it used to cost. Albuterol has been around since the 70s, yet today in the United States, there is no generic albuterol inhaler. It simply disappeared, along with Primatene mist, the only over-the-counter inhaler on the market. It's really pretty fricked up. Tayo Cruz used to have some absolute bangers and was pretty popular at one point, but the last big video by him was like 5 years ago on YouTube. What happened to the guy? They say he bought a bunch of land somewhere. Phone booths and phone books for that matter. Every house always had a phone book and there were phone booths everywhere. I still get a phone book, even though I don't ask for it. White wall tires. Quite a few years ago. I think the last time I saw white wall tires being taken seriously were Lightning McQueen in his first movie. Those curly coiled shoestrings. Old school bulletin forums. There's a few still up and running that are popular like Cerebi and Bouquet community for the Pokemon fanbase, but they very rarely get new members. Whenever I describe Reddit to people I always say remember forums. Imagine if they were all under one website now. You don't make many connections though compared to forums that I miss. I'm still a member of one of my first ones, or an offshoot if it, maybe 24 people. No one new in years. Definitely dying but I will keep posting as long as others do. We tried Facebook but it just wasn't the same as random PHP forums. Swine flu. It made me change my honeymoon from Mexico to Hawaii the day before my wedding. Then, I never heard about it again. McDonald's giving quality toys and Happy Meals and especially the Disney-based Christmas decorations that played music. They were the best. I remember getting actual, for real, Lego sets with my Happy Meals. Good ones, too. Shopping malls as more than a place to go to buy things. Growing up they were an epicenter for socializing, getting exercise on a bad day, window shopping, actual shopping, and or eating. Now they are dying an undignified death. There's significantly less quality busy malls. The zeitgeist has definitely moved past the idea of the mall that I grew up with. Songs from movies. Not from musicals, but normal movies. There was a time when every film had to have a single released with it. Kiss from a Rose, Everything I Do, My Heart Will Go On. Now only Deadpool 2 has one, and that's clearly a campy homage to the trope. See You Again from Furious 7 was one of the biggest songs of 2015. Phone booths were everywhere. Every restaurant, hotel, bar, airport had cigarette vending machines and you could smoke anywhere you wanted like movie theaters, grocery store, hospital, mall etc. literally anywhere in public you wanted. Zika. Payphones. I never saw one get removed, yet they just disappeared. We uninstall those at night. The ones outside convenience stores are quick. If you think about it next time you're near where one used to be then you will still see the holes. JK, I don't remove payphones. Childhood friendships. At some point during your childhood you and your friends went out to play for the last time and nobody knew it. Me and my best friend sort of drifted apart senior year. I worked and had a girlfriend. He ran track. We hung out 2 or 3 times the following year and saw each other probably 5 times after that. My daughter is 13 and he's never met her. We were almost like brothers, always together. Makes me sad that we lost our connection. Probably a bit late for this one, but cheese and onion crisps were in green packets, not blue. Blue is for salt and vinegar. Why was there not total uproar about this change? I presume I was too young to write a formal letter of complaint. Cheese and onion are in orange packets here. Sour cream and onion are in green, and salt and vinegar are blue. The arcade. Looking back it seems quaint to have a building dedicated to playing the latest video games, but it's really something more. Here it was social gathering, it was face-to-face competition, and that's something you just don't get with online gaming today. The nerve-wracking tension of being on the verge of breaking a high score, or having a crowd of players watching your match against someone in Street Fighter 2, as they all line up their quarters to challenge the winner. As the old saying goes, winner stays, loser pays. There was just something fun about putting your quarter token down on the cabinet and anticipating your turn. Sure, it was nice getting a home console port, but it just couldn't match up to the arcade version. Although some would say the arcades were dead by the mid-90s when the PlayStation other consoles starting to replicate the arcade versions. Others say it was the early zeros, they were completely dead in the USA, but now they exist as shadow of their former glory, mostly a part of family fun centers or places like Dave & Buster's. A few months ago friends took me and my kids to a bar arcade in Greensboro, North Carolina, which had a huge room of all their old classic arcade games, and only the old stuff. Not anything that you might see at a modern day bowling alley or Dave & Buster's. It was packed on a Saturday afternoon and it was awesome. Drive-in theaters. I went to one. I regret not bringing food. My husband tried to get us food at the concession booth and came back with nothing but a story about an absolute C. He doesn't use that term lightly, but we saw Doctor Strange and I think that's really the right type of movie for this scenario. It's something not too complicated, not artsy or whatever, where you really wanna see the screen dead on in a silent theater. Just popcorn movie, or in our case, no food movie. Kids playing outside afternoon. After sunset, it used to be very common to see kids in the neighborhood street playing hockey, football, or whatever. Now they all go inside playing games. Speaking of video games, I miss sitting on the couch with friends playing multiplayer split screen. At my apartment complex, there is almost always a group of kids playing outside. Ironically, they seem more active than me sometimes. Haha. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.